guys, welcome back to another episode of the TZ Podcast. Today we are going to talk about, what we have gathered from the financial standpoint and what we are looking for, or the outlook to our jobs versus entrepreneurship, and kind of a mix and what we think is best and what we want to do ourselves. All right. Well, our first topic that we were thinking about getting into was the entrepreneurship versus, your typical 9 to 5. Excuse me. All right. Well, I said, like I was saying earlier, guys, I have somewhat, we can just go into what I kind of want to do. So right now, my major is finance. And after I'm done with college, I would like to get, kind of that standard 9 to 5 job. And, I want that to be in the business world or the finance world. And, ideally, I'd like to work myself up in the company, or if I'm feeling really adventurous, maybe go and start my own finance company per se. But what this debate was the typical versus entrepreneurship. And we know, TZ is kind of an entrepreneurship. Parker started Capture Life Studio, which is an entrepreneurship. And what I think that, in my mind, entrepreneurship is a great thing. And just because I want to have my typical 9 to 5 job doesn't mean that entrepreneurship is impossible, because I definitely want to do small projects that will bring passive income, whether that be something literally as small as vending machines. Like, vending machines aren't too terribly expensive, not too much capital. You put a little bit down each week for literally the food or whatever your item is in there, and it's going to give you cash back. I think that is kind of my plan. And, maybe not vending machines. That was just a small little detail that I was saying, but maybe something as big as real estate one day. I think real estate is a great asset if you know how to use it. I don't know if you guys know what an FHA is, but Parker was talking about real estate, and he has quite a good opportunity to maybe utilize one of these. And
it's an
Parker,
FHA.
Before you get into what is an FHA?
What FHA is a first-time homeowners loan. I am not exactly sure what requirements are needed yet. I need to look into it, but my plan is to, since I want to move out in the next year or two, I want to move to Brandon, which is about an hour and a half away from here. I will be able to still service Marshall, where I am at right now, as well as have access to a much bigger market. And there's just more to do there, so it's pretty sweet deal.
And so the thing that's really sweet about this is you can put as low as 3.5% down on a place. And, obviously we don't know your budget. We don't know what's in your bank account, but just for reference, if you want to buy a $400,000 duplex, let's say it's a triplex, you live in one and 2 people live in the others, you would have to put roughly $11,000 down.
14.
And what did I say? 400,000? Oh
yeah.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I thought I said 300,000. Yeah, roughly $14,000 down. And you work for 6 months, you spend well, you save well. Let's say you live with your parents, all of a sudden you have that money, and you're going to be generating that. You're literally just going to be living for free.
Right, exactly. The goal with this whole thing and what investing really is, the goal is to build your assets so that at some point your cash flow positive, where all your cash flow meets your expenses. So you pretty much live for free. So what happens is you could quit your job and completely live on that, because all your cash flow from your assets completely pay for your expenses. That is the goal for the rich, and is why that the middle class and the poor are not rich, is because they buy liabilities, or the middle class buys liabilities that they think are assets. When A liability is pretty much anything that takes money out of your pocket, and assets puts money in your pocket. Is the simplest way
So
of
yeah,
thinking about it.
depreciation versus appreciation is the difference between liability and assets.
Right. Yeah. So my goal is just to keep working my job, and then just as I can buy some more assets. Anything that I cash flow from that, I just put back into my assets until I can completely pay for all of my expenses. I'm going to keep my expenses low, and that's kind of my financial plan for, well, I guess forever, but
That's the
I
goal,
need to,
right? For the end game.
right. But
Yep,
yeah, that's
retire
the way
young
to
with
do it.
that. Retire young with that passive income.
Mhm.
That'd be really nice. It'd be
Right.
really nice. Because it's
Just-
not, yeah. Oh, keep going. Sorry.
Just to go into what some real assets are, is really building building a business that doesn't require your presence. Otherwise it's a job. Stocks, bonds, income generating real estate, which is what I'm looking into getting into. I'm actually looking to getting into a house and then renting out a room. I want to rent it out to one of my friends though, so it's not sketchy and it's kind of just chill and fun. But we'll see
obviously,
where
that's
where
what you
that
prefer,
goes.
right?
Right, exactly.
I'd rather live with a friend than a stranger any day.
Mhm. Others are like notes, royalties, and then the goal is to pretty much acquire any assets that you truly love. Don't get into real estate if you don't love real estate, because that's not going to be fun dealing with all that stuff. So
Yeah, it's not a matter of making money. It's more how you spend it, to put it in a broad perspective, because I can have, I can make money. We all make money. It's just like, oh, it's the decision of me going out for a weekend instead of staying in, or me buying that brand new phone, or this or that,
Mhm.
and it's on a broader scale. You got to just be smart with your money, to put it plainly.
Yep, exactly.
Putting it into stuff that obviously comes back around, kind of recycling it in a way, is obviously the end goal.
Yeah,
And
when you put your money into assets, let's say I put $1 into an asset, that dollar pretty much equates to an employee. Like that money is working for you 24/7. That's how I kind of want you to think about assets, versus buying a new phone and you never get a return on that.
yeah, you just got to be careful with the stuff you buy and spend your money on, obviously, because a lot of things that you end up spending money on has little to no return on it. Either that or it depreciates heavily. Like, look at cars or phones or technology, like everyone always upgrades the next year, or like there's the new shinier model with new features and all that. But the thing is, in 10 years, nobody wants that,
Yeah, and just for anyone listening, we are not financial professionals. I'm trying to become one.
Not yet.
And I'm definitely not one yet. None of us are one yet. These are just our thoughts and ideas on things that can improve your financial side of things. And if you guys think real estate or things like that is just a little too much over the head, I would strongly consider just the stock market. The stock market is
a big one.
the biggest place for someone to become a millionaire. It's not quick, but if you invest even $1,000 for the next 7 years of your life, and you're young, emphasis on young right now, if you let that money sit in there for about 45 to 55 years, you will become a millionaire by the time you retire.
Which is crazy to think about. It's just bizarre that we have access to something just like that,
Yep.
It's the compounding effect.
Yeah.
7% annual compound interest rate, and you let's say you put in $28,000 today, all of a sudden that's whatever, 29,000 the next year, 31,000. I have no idea. I'm pulling these numbers out of my butt, but like,
hypothetically,
it's just crazy how it works.
Yeah. That's what I've been getting into as of recently. Like, I'm not doing it as big as you guys, looking into real estate and stuff, but like I've just been kind of getting the ropes for stocks a lot more, and like just knowing that I'm putting my money towards something that, you know, I plan on and hopefully paying out is just such a nice feeling to know, because it's not difficult. It's not like I have to necessarily work to make that profit of the stock, you know, like it's just, I'm just
Right.
investing it in.
And a
And
little side note on that too, like if you guys do want to invest, our listeners, you know, who are we to tell you what to do again? But you could either download the app Robinhood,
it's a big one.
or you could go to your local financial advisor spot, whether it be Northwestern Mutual, Edward Jones. You know, a meeting does cost, but it will definitely pay out in the long run, and they'll set you up with a mutual fund, ETF, whatever really you want. You can even pick one stock, but that is definitely that's not like something you should do. It's just like, it's almost a need.
Right. It's something that
In my
everybody
opinion.
needs
That's
to
just
do.
my opinion.
Right.
You know, you need to invest in the stock market.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people would more, but it's kind of intimidating, I'll be honest. Like where I remember when I was like, I was kind of reading into it, and I was like, man, like people are losing their ass off on money doing this and that, and like it was just scary. Like it frightened me. But the biggest like thing I could probably tell someone trying to get into stocks, and I mean, like I said, I'm not huge into stocks, but it's just to download Robinhood or go to like an Edward Jones and just kind of do it and see what happens. You know, you don't have to invest so much money into it, and kind of just like test the waters almost and see what works, what doesn't, kind of get more into the culture of it. Then you start to pick up things, you know, little things, and then you keep up with this stock and that stock, and you kind of just get the ropes for it. And once you get the ropes, it's a lot more smooth sailing.
Yeah, that's very true. I would say I don't dabble much in Robinhood, just because Robinhood is a lot of single stocks, and I don't really want to gamble on one company. So I don't. Mutual fund is where it takes a pile of a whole bunch of companies and buys a few shares of each or percentage of each, so your mutual fund is relatively safe. And that's what I do personally. Where I want to work is actually where I invest in the stock market, and it's money that I've made from, you know, summer jobs mainly. I put pretty much as I can into that to Edward Jones with the dude that I work with, and that's as
So
I'm blessed to be able to put the money that I worked for into that.
So how much, what would you say your margin is? So let's say hypothetically you get $100 a week, right? Just to have a nice round number, $100. What's like the cutoff for you? Like if you had $100, how much would you invest? Like what's okay, what's not, like what's too much, what's too little?
I mean, really, it depends on every person. Me personally, I've been blessed to be able to pay for most of my expenses. Um, you know, with the help of my parents and with my summer jobs. So if I had $100 and I did have to pay for a lot of that stuff, you know, I'd worry about the essentials first.
Sure.
And then I'd maybe take, you know, even $10. $10 a week can go a very long ways.
Sure.
That's $40 a month.
So yeah, it shows that.
That's $480 a year into the stock market. So if you do $10 a week, that'd be perfect.
So even investing little amounts, it'll add up in the end. You know,
$5
it'll
a week.
go a long way. Yeah.
$5 a week, that's $240 a year.
Skip out on that Starbucks coffee one day, you know.
Do that for literally 20 years, you're gonna have $100,000 in your mutual fund.
God, that's crazy to think about.
It is. It's so
crazy. That's crazy. And it's such a short time too. 20 years. Like saying 20 years, it doesn't seem that long, you know. For $5 a month or a week or whatever we said. That's crazy.
There's a saying, I forget exactly how it went, but it's something that goes like, people overestimate what they can do in a day, but underestimate what they can do in a year.
Yeah.
It's something that along those lines, but I think it's very, very interesting because you set high goals for yourself in a day. And what do? You might get like the first thing or two done. But in a year, you can, if you develop your daily routine to achieve your goals, it can go a long way. It's the same thing as the compounding effect. It's working out. It's the same way. Compounding effect, where you don't see much of a return at all right away besides your sore. But if you keep at it, just look at Simon. If you keep at it, you're like Simon.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, Simon's a prime example of
From
that.
super
He's
small
been
to
doing
not
that.
quite as small.
Right.
I mean, I mean, I will admit, at least personally for me, setting long-term goals are a lot harder, because it is nice to have that satisfaction of seeing results so soon. But every time I do set a long-term goal that I do end up hitting, the reward is just so much better in the long term. And it just feels so much nicer. You know, you get the results you want, and it's long-term goals are just huge, you know.
And what would your tip be to achieving a big goal or a long-term goal?
A big one that helps me when it comes to long-term goals is setting like milestones. So for example, like we'll go back to like weightlifting, you know, like you don't go to the gym once and then you come out losing 5 pounds. It is a struggle. You know, nobody likes doing cardio. Nobody likes lifting weights. It's just something we have to end up doing. But kind of keep in progress, for example, I don't know, like check in every month and see slowly, oh, I'm losing weight here, or I'm getting a little more toner here, just to show your progression. Kind of reminds me of that end goal, and it kind of shows that it's doable, you know, like
Right.
I've done it for this long and I've seen this result. So if I keep doing it for X amount of time, it's gonna, you know, my results are gonna exponentially grow.
Right.
And milestones, like I said, is a big one. That's just like a little reminder, like, hey, you know, like you're doing good, keep going. This is, you know, you're almost there.
Yeah, and I just want to stress to people, if you guys have made it this far too, like these are our opinions too. There's you know, what Eric has had in life, that's his view, that what I've had in life is my view. And you know, we're not telling you to do a certain thing. We're not telling you to, you know, hit an amount of cardio or hit our weights to lose weight, or telling you to lose weight. That is just our 2 cents of the pie. And the reason I'm saying this is because we talked about maybe our favorite thing or our favorite piece of advice that we've ever heard. And one of mine is that no matter who you are, you can always take a tip or take a little piece of a lesson from someone else. Whether you're Elon Musk, who is now worth over $200 billion, or whether you're Eric Parker or Simon, Elon can learn something from us because he has not walked the same path in life that we have. You know, whether someone reads no books at all and feels like they have no knowledge, to someone who plays video games every single day. That person who plays video games every single day can still teach the person who reads books every single day a lesson in life. And I think that's still very important to realize. Like, you know, we're not professionals. We're not nutritionists. I'm not a financial advisor yet. Parker isn't insanely successful in real estate business yet, but we have goals, and we can still, you know, offer our 2 cents, and you guys can take it if you want.
Of course. It's I like the dynamic of the three. Like this, putting that in perspective, kind of bouncing off that, it's almost nicer to hear like the perspective of 3 different people, 3 different humans, kind of their outtakes on it too. Which
Yeah.
I mean, like we're all, besides being friends, obviously, it's nice to debate and kind of be mature about it. You know, we can safely talk about our different opinions or views or how we look at stuff. And at the end of the day, we all know that it's all our own entitlement. Like we're not telling people, we're not forcing it on people.
And the reason why that's like one of my favorite quotes is because it makes you take a step back. Whether you, like, I think I know it all about stocks, there's someone who knows more, or someone who can tell me more, or whether I know nothing about it. Obviously, there's someone who can tell me. And Eric and Parker, there's millions of things that you guys know a lot better than me, and also vice versa. There's just it just makes you take a step back and realize that there's different life lessons that you can learn from literally every single person.
Do we want to have we touched on traditional jobs versus entrepreneur yet? Like
Yeah, that's kind of
specifically?
what we started on.
And then we kind of strayed off.
Then we start off
spiraled.
into the how to set up financial and stuff. So let's dial it back to how we started with
Yeah,
traditional jobs versus
I kind of
entrepreneur.
talked about that, but Parker, so mine was, I have like a mix, maybe what your maybe outlook might be more just entrepreneurship, and kind of talk why that, and what financial freedom that might give you.
Right. So for me, the biggest reason that I dove into entrepreneurship was because I wanted to build something of my own. I don't want to be stuck one day where I'm working a job and let's say another pandemic hits or something and I get tapped on the shoulder and I get kicked out. I had a mortgage. I set up financially, like I was planning on having that income, and now I don't. What do? I have to rely on somebody else hiring me. I don't have any skills to make money on my own. I just don't want to deal with that. I think entrepreneurship is the future. And the reason why I say that too is because you can learn so much as an entrepreneur. You can how to reduce risk. You can learn how to make money on by yourself. It's really endless. And if you really apply yourself, you need to be a certain individual though to get into it. You need to be motivated. You need to be passionate. You just need to think about things. You need to compare, contrast. Don't think one side is right and one side is wrong. You need to pull things from different perspectives, like you guys were talking about. It's hard. It is really, really hard, but that shouldn't stop you if you really want to do it. I dove into it with TZ. I had no idea how to start an LLC. I didn't know really how to pay taxes as a corporation. I didn't know any of that, but as you jump in, you figure it out. And that's the best way of learning, is to actually do it. That is my reason why I think entrepreneurship, that's the reason why I got into entrepreneurship. But traditional jobs, hell, I mean, people can still find things they love and have a traditional job. They might like the structure better. They might like the separation of work and life. You go to your job, you get off, and that's your time, but for me, I just love making something of my own, and what I'm doing I don't see as work to me. So
yeah, I mean, it takes a drive. It definitely does take a drive for entrepreneurship. I'm not dabbled in as much as you guys are, but I can speak for my mother and my brother, my youngest brother, I guess, but he's still older than me. My oldest brother, that's a weird one to say. They both take the entrepreneurship role. They both own nail salons. And the big drive, I've talked to them about owning a business, and with TZ, kind of a lot of things overlap. And a lot of things they'd be telling me. So my brother's biggest drive was out of college. He doesn't want to be told, he doesn't want to be bossed around. So like for a corporate job, you work a 9 to 5, you have a higher up that tells you what to do. And he just didn't want to be told what to do. He wanted to do his own thing, make his own money his own way without being told what to do. And that was what pushed him to buy a location, open up a nail salon, and run it, And that was the same thing with my mom. She just does not want to be told what to do, bossed around, and not even in like a naive or rebellious way. It's just like if they're making their money, they want to be doing it the way they pictured or they're passionate about, their drive for it.
Right.
And I mean, that could be a reason, or if there's so many reasons to get into entrepreneurship, and it's all kind of stems back to having that drive for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if you have the drive for it, I say go all for it. But it's not going to be easy at the start. You don't just wake up and be an entrepreneur. It's definitely a grind. But
right. And all right, Simon, what are some ways that a traditional job is different from entrepreneurship, and like what are the benefits to that?
In my eyes?
Yeah, in your eyes.
Yeah, so I definitely think that separating work and whether it be relationship or family is a very good thing to do as well. Not that it has to be forever. Like I said, I definitely want to be an entrepreneur, but I want to have that base job to kind of just have that safety net. And to me, right away, I probably won't have the capital to indulge in real estate right away or do too much. Morgan wants to go to dental school, so she maybe would open up her own dental place after that, and that would be something that I would have to save up for. But that traditional job will help both of us help pay the bills while she's going to school. And the time that she'll be going to school is the time that I'll be working. And then after that, I won't really have any responsibilities. When you're in entrepreneurship, you're never on the clock and you're never off it. As you know, like you're always on work or you're always not on work, like whatever you choose, it never stops. And there's a lot of pluses to that, but also there's minuses. All of a sudden a client calls you one night, like needs to talk or something changes, it doesn't stop. Whereas, your typical 9 to 5 would. And, maybe that's not every single case. There's still some 9 to 5 jobs that aren't. Maybe some entrepreneurship jobs, you can cut it off whenever you want. But we'll just say for the relative of that. And so that's why I think starting my career and building that capital, I think that typical 9 to 5 job would be very beneficial to someone who doesn't necessarily have, like I said, the capital or the time frame to start up some entrepreneurship.
I think if you are looking to get into entrepreneurship, truly, a good way to do it is to get a 9 to 5. Maybe get something that's also you have some downtime during it, and really just learn as much as you can before you decide to quit. I think a good rule of thumb is to bring your side hustle to a point where it matches or exceeds your current job, and then you can make the leap. That's a good way to get into it. If you're not young and you don't have your parents that are currently housing you and paying for a lot of your expenses, that is one way to do it.
Yeah, definitely.
Is there anything else that you guys want to add onto anything we said?
No, I think this is a pretty good episode of, just sharing our opinions and life lessons that we have learned and things that we hope to continue and hope to achieve. And, we'll see, we're hungry and we want to get them and we're eager to go there. But also we got to remember that the journey is the reward. So as we're working towards these goals, whether you guys have goals in the audience that are listening, and to you guys, that there's beauty in the journey, and just keep going, keep fighting.
Yeah, it's having the mindset of it's a marathon, not a sprint, definitely helps too. Like you just got to keep reminding yourself, Rome wasn't built in one night. It takes time for goals for anything in life, and if you just keep going towards it, you're going to hit those goals, you're going to crush them, and you're going to be successful.
All right. On that note, let's end the podcast. So thank you everyone for staying this long. If you've made it, we truly appreciate it. And we will see you guys in the next podcast.
Remember to seek the positive.